you know, Nick, right?
Right.
Do we agree with that? I'm not going to say it like once we start recording, but it should be said.
Yeah. It was T1.
Okay.
It was who?
T1000.
Oh, T1000.
All right, I'm gonna play the intro. We're gonna start this biatch.
You want me to plug at the beginning where they can find us? Spotify, Stitcher, and iTunes. Is that right?
Yeah, Spotify, Stitcher, and iTunes. All the places you can no longer find InfoWars.
That's true.
Now we won't be able to find out if the globalists are putting the fluoride in water and turning all the freaking frogs gay.
Jeez, what was that rant? I must have missed something there.
Yeah, you ever watch Alex Jones videos?
No, never heard of her.
Oh, all right, I'm hitting the intro. Motherfucker. Ball start.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Master Debate with Quaid. I'm your host, Quaid, and I am joined by the same two knuckleheads yet again. Nick and Adam are both joining me. Adam is coming off of another impressive victory last week. Adam, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm a little tired, but I'm good. I went to a bachelor party on Saturday, and I'm like old as shit, so it takes me like a month to recover from that. So
it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday night. You're still not over it?
Yeah, exactly. That's when you know you're old.
Where was the bachelor party, or should we not discuss it?
No, we can. It was downtown Pittsburgh. We went out to eat and visited some local establishments.
Wow, that seems super romantic. Nick, welcome back, brother. You're coming off of a loss. How you feeling?
Well, you know, they had to keep the sharp objects away from me. But you know, I've learned to deal with it. I've gotten over it. I'm fantastic. Everything's fine.
Does it make you feel a little bit bad that Adam celebrated with a bachelor party and he's not even getting married?
Yeah, I threw it for myself.
Yeah, especially at his age, right? Girl, he needs to get tied down, get a couple of kids, have the life sucked out of him.
Okay, well, boys, with that being said, we're going to jump right into it tonight. Our topic for this week is best bad guys in a movie. It cannot be a horror movie, and it cannot be a superpower movie. So there's a lot of bad guys out there. You guys came up with 10 each. I'm going to let you get to it. Some of them were very surprising to me because, quite honestly, I hadn't heard of some of these guys. Adam, since you're coming off of a win, you have an opportunity to introduce first or let Nick introduce his list first. Your choice.
I can introduce my list first. My first one in no particular order, Wild Bill Wharton. He's from The Green Mile. The second is Darth Vader from Star Wars. Third is Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs. Fourth, Ivan Drago, Rocky IV. Fifth, John Doe from the movie Seven. Six, Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. 7, The Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz. 8, T-1000 from Terminator 2. 9, Ray Finkel from Ace Ventura Pet Detective. And number 10 is Bodie from Point Break.
Oh, man, how did I forget Bodie?
Oh.
Well, in your defense, Nick, I think it would be pretty easy to forget Bodie.
What?
Nick, let's hear your list.
All right, so coming in at number 10 is Bryce from 13 Reasons Why. After that, you got Henry from The Good Son. Pat Garrett from Young Guns 2. Sensei Kreese from The Karate Kid, and a surprise appearance from Daniel LaRusso from The Karate Kid.
What?
What? Yeah. The Terminator, the original, the OG. Coach Wolf Stassen from D2, The Mighty Ducks Are Back. LG Murphy from Young Gun.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to contain myself.
And
It sounds like at this point we've only watched about 3 movies in our whole lives, and we just pull every quote and every character from those movies.
It's true. It's so true.
Nick has 2 from Young Guns.
No, to be clear, he has 1 from Young Guns and 1 from Young Guns 2.
Okay, valid point. Yeah.
But he does have 2 from Karate Kid.
Oh, fuck. And he's not even done yet. He could have more.
I got Tommy from Goodfellas.
Ooh.
And Dirty Mike.
Dirty Mike and the boys.
Dirty Mike and the boys and the other guys.
I literally have tears rolling down my face.
It's tough to know what to say next and where to go from here, really.
Oh, jeez. Wow. I guess
So-
I get to pick whether I go first.
Should we proceed, or you guys just want to call it good for this week and get back together next week?
We're good.
Adam, as a defending champ last week, you do have the choice. Do you want to introduce your character first, or would you like to let Nick introduce his first?
Oh, this is a tough one.
Also, I'm going to throw in an extra $5 if you, Adam, can guess which movie Nick's first character is going to come from. You have a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, good point. Oh, shit. I guess I will go first. If that's okay with Nick?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Nick has no say in this. So go ahead, Adam.
He's a loser. Oh, man. So my first one is going to be Ray Finkel from Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. If you're not familiar with Ray Finkel, essentially, he was a Miami Dolphins place kicker. He was from Collier County, Florida, nicknamed the Mule, in case you were curious. But in the championship game, he missed the field goal and lost essentially the Super Bowl. And he blamed this all on Dan Marino, the placeholder. And he said the laces were in and they weren't out. So it became a real mental hang-up for him. And he ended up going to Shady Acres Mental Institute. And there, he eventually escaped. He was insane at this point, but he eventually escaped, chopped his dick off, became a tranny, and then kidnapped Dan Marino and a dolphin on Super Bowl Sunday. Now, he also was a she who played the captain of the police force, who antagonized Ace Ventura, the pet detective, the entire time when he was investigating the dolphin's disappearance. Essentially, Ray Finkel, Lois Einhorn, his trans name, she threw every stop into that she could at Ace Ventura, and then he got caught, and that's it. She was the biggest pain in the ass ever.
Nick,
All right.
are you speechless?
A little bit. Okay, I'm gonna go with I want to go the really, really bad guy here. I'm going with LG Murphy of Young Guns. All right, this guy, he was a bad guy. All right, he didn't like John Tunstall and his gang of regulators, so he would go out to the farm with the sheriff that he paid off, and he would harass these young boys. And John Tunstall, who took care of those young boys and took them in and gave them baths and everything. And and he would go there, he'd harass them, but he kicked it up a notch. On New Year's Day, when they're coming back from all having a good party, they ambushed John Tunstall. They shot him dead. He did it the old Irish way. I was in the movie. And we also found out that he slaughtered a bunch of Native Americans on a reservation, sent them rancid meat. And when they went to confront him about the rancid meat that he sent them, because he was contracted to supply that reservation, they ambushed those guys, killed them, went back to the village, killed every last one of them, except for Chavez, of course. He got away.
Well,
him.
Just to clear something up, Nick. Back in that day, every cowboy slaughtered many Native Americans. So your boy J.G. Wentworth, or whatever his name was,
L.G. Murphy,
was not unordinary. Now, Adam.
Okay, no, that's not. Hold on.
Okay,
we're not done. It was unordinary because, as Chavez told us, they bashed the babies' heads in with their boot heels so the army could save bullets.
Well, that's very disturbing, and I feel bad that you cut me off to bring back that comment. Adam, in your argument, here's why I think that your character was not the same ordinary character as Nick's.
Okay.
One reason and one reason only. Adam made his argument, and in the middle of his argument, he slid in, and I quote, "He cut his dick off," end quote. And he kept arguing just like nothing actually happened. That's a very, very bad guy / girl. Adam wins round one.
Wait a minute, we're not even doing rebuttals?
No, none needed. None needed. Ray Finkel cut his dick off, dude.
This game is bullshit.
You know what's funny about this one? I had Murphy as my number 11. It shows you how effed up I am, too.
Yeah, right?
Why did you not put him on your list, Adam?
I don't know. No, I had like 11, 12-ish, and I didn't really know. And then I thought he was so obscure. I mean, he's a bad guy. But Charlie Sheen was like more of a pain in the ass. Not saying he was a bad guy, but he seemed like more of a pain in the ass to the main character, throughout most of the first movie.
I'll tell you this. If L.G. Murphy at any point in that movie or movie series, or even in your argument, Nick, if he would have cut his dick off and then killed Native Americans, you probably would have won.
Well, it was a similar time back then. People weren't cutting their dicks off.
I know. Unfortunately.
All right, round 2. Nick, you get to introduce yours this round. Go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to introduce the baddest motherfucker of all. And I'm talking, of course, about Daniel LaRusso.
This one confuses me, but go ahead.
Look, the movie The Karate Kid is all bullshit. They tell you about this kid who moves into town and he gets picked on, and then he takes karate and learns how to defend himself. And you're thinking, yeah, I'm going to cheer for Danny LaRusso. Fact of the matter is, though, he was the bully. Go back and watch that movie. He always goes to violence first. He's the one that attacks Johnny. He's the one that goes after the kid on the soccer field. He's the one that picks the fight during the Halloween party. And then he's also the one that's the creepy old guy beat up the kids for him. If you really look at the movie, the bad guy wins in the end in that movie. Johnny, he was just trying to graduate high school, move on with his karate career, and really just live it up like he should.
Okay, so Nick, I have a question as an uneducated Karate Kid fan. Just so we're clear, I want to make sure I understand this correctly. Daniel LaRusso was the main character, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And you're pitching him as a bad guy.
He
correct?
was the bad guy. He was the bad guy. He was the one that attacked every time. He was the bully.
Okay, Adam, go ahead.
Well, okay, I'll just go with mine. That's an interesting one for you, Nick. The main star is the bad guy, but I'm gonna go with Darth Vader from Star Wars. Darth Vader, okay, once a heroic Jedi Knight. Darth Vader was seduced by the dark side, and basically he became a Sith Lord, whatever the fuck that is.
Are you reading this off of Wikipedia or something?
No, I wrote this down.
Off of Wikipedia?
And then he led the Empire basically to destroy the Jedis. And plus he was a deadbeat dad. So he's a really bad guy. I mean, he's even represents the dark side. I mean, I don't even know Star Wars, and he is a bad guy. He's maybe the worst guy in the entire Star Wars, whatever they call it these days. It's not a trilogy because there's so many of them. So
yeah. Well, here's the thing about Darth Vader: is the whole story is a redemption story of Darth Vader. He's actually the one that kills the Emperor and destroys the reign at the end, as he turns back to the light and to be the good guy. He's the actual hero.
I feel like maybe something's wrong with you, Nick. Every movie that the bad guy, I think you think the bad guy is the good guy, and the good guy is the bad guy. Look at Daniel LaRusso. He's the bad guy.
Okay, tell me one time when Daniel LaRusso got into a fight that he didn't start the fight.
Whenever he was playing soccer, that kid didn't trip him, or he did trip him on purpose, and then Daniel.
He was going after the ball. He was going after the ball.
That would have been a yellow card, maybe even a red card if this was a World Cup.
Yellow cards are part of the game. You know, he plays an aggressive style of soccer. There's no use getting up and fighting the dude.
So you condone bullying, I guess.
He just wanted to start some shit. Whereas Darth Vader, he got seduced by the dark side. He got seduced by a guy that was worse, obviously, than he was. He actually took this great.
He idolized that guy and wanted to be like him.
He took this great hero and turned him to the dark side because Anakin Skywalker thought the only way to save the love of his life and the future mother of his children actually, was to turn to the dark side and follow Palpatine. So he really turned to the dark side out of love. And then the real trilogy is a story about how Darth Vader redeemed himself and actually became the hero in the end.
That's like saying, I don't want my family to be poor, so I'm going to start robbing banks and killing people. Basically, that makes you kind of a bad guy. Bad judgment, too.
Well, the thing is, the girl was going to die. He was having, premonitions of her dying. So he wanted to stop her from dying and save her and potentially his children that he thought, they could have died in that incident too. So it wasn't the right choice, but he made the choice out of love. Yeah.
Okay, this question is for you, Nick. Why does your boy Danielson deserve to win over Darth Vader when it comes to the best of those two bad guys?
I think the biggest reason of all is because of the ruse that the movie pulled over our eyes. See, like when we watch Star Wars, we're like, okay, Darth Vader, he's the bad guy, whatever. You're not supposed to cheer for him. The fucked up thing that Karate Kid does is they take this bully, this savage that moves into this town and just wreaks havoc on all of the town folk. And they say, cheer for him. He's the guy you want to cheer. They actually prop up the bully and make you love him. That's why he's the worst guy. He's the worst villain on the list.
I don't
Adam,
think so.
same question for you, Adam. Go ahead.
I feel like Daniel LaRusso was he's a poor kid. His mom's trying to make ends meet. He's in a new town, new school, and he's getting bullied and beat around by a group of like more well-to-do kids. And he defends himself and learns how to defend himself, and he overcomes that. And you're saying he's a bad guy? I find that hard to believe.
Okay, so I am so confused right now. This one really, really got me. Right from the get-go, when I wasn't quite sure who Daniel LaRusso was, and then I realized that he was actually the main character. Never in my life would I expect a main character to be introduced as a bad guy, especially in a children's movie like The Karate Kid. Darth Vader, he's a very valid nominee for this position, but here's what happened to me, at least for me personally. Nick just so happened, unfortunately, to know way more about your character than you did, Adam, and he made some good arguments. He shouldn't be proud of that. I would be more proud to not know anything about Star Wars, but that's me personally. And also, for some very strange reason, Nick, you convinced me that Danielson actually is a huge asshole. And I never thought that before until tonight. So, round 2 goes to Nick.
Mm-hmm. And
Crane, that black helmet you wear, bro.
I think, like for that one, I don't know enough about Star Wars, so maybe it was a bad choice on my part. But whenever you would think about like top evil or bad guys, everyone thinks of Darth Vader, so that's why I picked it. But
I don't disagree with you at all, Adam.
But Nick had all these stories. I don't even know if they're true.
Good job of arguing against it. A really good job. That's why Nick won this round. So you fucked it up, Adam. Darth did.
I did. Totally fucked that up.
All right. But good news, Adam. You get to go ahead and totally redeem yourself right now by introducing the next one.
All right. So the next one, I'm going to take The Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz. Okay, so Dorothy, all she's trying to do is get to the wizard. She's trying the best of her efforts. And this witch comes along, and she's lighting her friends on fire. She's sending flying monkeys after them. I mean, overall, she's pretty much the first real villain, at least for colored movies. So she's like a legendary villain, I think. So beat that, Nick.
All right. I will say you did go with the OG of villains.
For sure.
But I'm going to go with somebody who was truly terrifying as a villain, and that was Tommy from Goodfellas. One of the things that's so terrifying about Tommy is the fact that he's based on a real character. There was really somebody out there that was this psycho. And this dude, he would kill people like he would take out the trash. He had no problem with it. I mean, some of the people he killed, Spider, who was this nice black guy that would come down to the bar and hang out, and he shot him, and he stole his coffee pot.
I don't think he's black, but...
No, not Spider. I'm thinking of Stax. Spider...
Well, what would it matter what color he was? That's not an important part of that story anyhow. Go ahead.
Well, it kind of was if you know the movie.
Two different guys.
Yeah. It was important to those guys. Like that's why Stax wasn't a made guy, because he was black. Spider, all the dude did was serve Tommy drinks, and apparently he wasn't fast enough, shot him in the foot. Spider talked a little shit. Shot him in the chest. They had to go dig a couple holes. I mean, Billy Bats. Go grab your fucking shine box. That's the reason to beat a dude to death and then stab him in the trunk of your car. This dude was murdering motherfuckers all the time. He loved it. He actually enjoyed the murder. Wicked Witch of the West, she never actually killed anybody.
But she, like you say, this guy killed a bunch of mob people.
Yeah.
But Wicked Witch of the West actually was trying to kill a little puppy dog. Who kills puppy dogs, Nick? Evil people.
All right. Look, the puppy dog thing is true, but I will say this. The girl that she was after and the dog dropped a house on her sister. She had justifiable anger.
Well,
Whereas Tommy just killed people for the fun of it.
Well, sometimes it was for work, I suppose. But I think the tornado dropped the house on her sister. So,
But that's on how she saw it.
I wouldn't say it was justified.
In her mind, it was Dorothy that just plopped her house right on top of her sister, and that's why she was like, all right, I'm going to kill you and your dog too, because she was grieving. She was probably a very nice lady, but she was grieving. She just lost her sister. Somebody dropped a house on her head.
She was, well, I'll say this. She was not a nice lady, because after she gets melted, all the monkeys were so happy that Dorothy finished off the Wicked Witch of the West. And her name's Wicked for a reason, because she's mean. Those monkeys were slaves. And that's just awful to do that to those flying monkeys. You know how useful a flying monkey could be? And then you make it a slave. Send it out to kill puppies.
You say slave. I just say a job that only a flying monkey could do. She actually put them to work. She had a work program. She gave them uniforms.
I don't know if it was a work program.
They didn't look like they were starving. Whereas Tommy, he's just out shooting people, digging up holes, having to go. He doesn't even let these people rest in peace after he kills them. He goes and he digs them up. He's making fun of their dead body parts as he's digging them out of the hole. Oh, look, a wing.
Well, he had to dig him out because there was a house.
Look, you got an egg. Got a leg.
Yeah, but his mom loved him. He was a loved character by some people. I actually really liked that character. Not because he was evil, because he was a likable guy.
Well, you know what? The person that loved the Wicked Witch of the West got a house dropped on her head.
Maybe. We don't even know that. Maybe she didn't like her either. The Wicked Witch of the East didn't like her, or the Witch of the East didn't like her.
My mind is made up.
Okay.
And here's how it's going to go. Adam, without a doubt, you introduced one of the oldest, if not the oldest villain of all time. Nick, you introduced somebody who I was not familiar with in the least. I do think you did a great job of explaining who Tony was and what he did. There's a couple reasons that my decision is going to go the way that it went. One of those has to do with quotes from the movies. One of you actually pulled out a bunch of quotes from both movies. And also, it comes down to deaths. Tony killed more people, point blank. The witch maybe killed one person and maybe one stupid little dog. Nick, you win this round.
Boom.
Name's Tommy. All right, Nick, you're Tommy.
What'd I say?
Tony.
Doesn't matter. Nick still wins.
He did. All right, Nick.
All right, so Nick, you get to introduce the next contestant.
All right, I'm bringing true evil to the table now, and I'm talking about Coach Wolf Stassen from D2. The Mighty Ducks are back. This dude coached the Iceland national team, and he was a cold-ass motherfucker. He got a shot in the NHL, and he was just a massive goon. He got there, all he did was fight people. He took dirty shots. And then he gets kicked out of the league because he's such an asshole. And he goes and he coaches some boys playing hockey in World's Nationals for Iceland. It's the first time Iceland ever did anything athletic. And what happens? Well, he runs his ship like it's the Hitler Youth. Doesn't let them have any freedom. He's awful. He even has kind of like a Hitler Youth haircut. And when the Mighty Ducks are on the ice having a good time playing with beach balls, he pops the beach ball.
No way.
Oh,
Yeah, he
that
popped
son
him.
of a bitch.
Right? And then he challenges Coach Bombay to a game of three-post where you hit the crossbar and the other crossbar. And Coach Bombay was just going to town on that ass. So what's he do? Takes out Coach Bombay's knee. That's not a good guy, if you ask me.
He's a
Bad
competitor.
dude. Bad dude. Adam, what do you have to say about that?
All right, so picture this. This guy is a super selfish guy. I almost said I am, which you probably am too. So this guy is so selfish that all he wants to do is live the life of luxury and leisure. And he goes out and he just starts robbing banks with a gang of people. And this guy kidnapped one of his friends and said he was going to cut her head off. And this was a guy who basically made friends with Johnny Utah, and then he kidnapped his girlfriend. And this guy's name's Bodie, and it's from Point Break. And he has to be one of the most evil, sadistic bad guys ever. I mean, really, when you think about what he's doing, he's running around just so he's doing all of this just so he can just surf. You know, how selfish is that? He has a whole gang of these long-haired freaks running around. It's crazy, Nick. It's dangerous.
You say selfish. I say he was glorious. I mean, this dude lived on the edge. He didn't let laws constrain him. He didn't let the police constrain him. He had beautiful hair. He was tanned. He liked to surf. He would sky dive. I mean, seriously, the issue was not Bodie, man. It was the fact that Johnny Utah just, he liked the man. He liked what the man was giving him, a paycheck. I think you could argue Johnny Utah was the bad guy in that.
Johnny Utah worked for the FBI. He was an FBI agent.
Oh, I'm an FBI agent.
So he's doing his job, trying to prevent people from robbing banks and shooting people and killing people.
But they never shot anybody. They were just there. They didn't even go to the vault.
They shot Johnny's partner.
Yeah, but that was after Johnny got in there and started fucking everything up, man. Like, Bodie was just there. He didn't even go for the vault. He was just there. He cleaned out the drawers. They move on. It wasn't even like robbery, really. It was just, extreme.
Yeah, it was just an extreme lifestyle. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
Dressing up like a president.
Yeah, I mean, he's killed people on accident. And yeah, he did have his friend kidnap a girl that he used to date, and then Johnny was dating, and like
threatened to cut her head off.
Yeah, I mean that's. But he didn't like that, man. Bodie was about love and peace, and that's why he had Rosie kidnap her and get ready to cut her head off.
Because he didn't want the blood on his hands.
Right.
Well.
Okay, listen up, boys. Listen up, boys. I want to say a couple of things. First off, I want to reiterate how much I despise the movie Point Break. I hate it. I think it's a terrible piece of shit, and I think it's some of the worst acting I've ever seen in my life. I'm still upset that I'm talking about it. Nick, you took me right straight back to my childhood talking about Coach Wolf Stassem. And the part where he took his knee out, I totally forgot about that. Took me right back to my Nancy Kerrigan days, and I enjoyed every second of it. Here's where the whole entire argument went a little bit sideways compared to what I thought was going to happen. From that point forward, Nick, you spent the rest of your time talking about fucking Point Break. So for that reason alone, I hate to have to do this. The best argument was for Adam's character, stupid Bodie, in Point Break. Nick, you're an idiot.
Oh shit! Look, if you bring Bodie up or Point Break, Nick can't not defend it. That's a rule.
He can't talk about anything else. It doesn't matter what it is. He cannot talk about anything else if Point Break has been mentioned in the last 5 minutes.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Nick,
dying
you
over
lose. It's 2-2
You
right now.
lose.
Adam 2, Nick 2. Let's see. Adam, you get to introduce. This is the final round. I don't even care what you guys talk about here. I'm just going to shut it off. Not doing this anymore. No more Point Break references.
Oh, my nose is
Adam,
running.
your chance to bring up the next character.
Okay. Oh, man. I'm going to go with Ivan Drago from Rocky IV. So Ivan Drago is the Russian. He was trained. He was basically what they looked at as a genetically superior person who represented the country in communism. And he was trained, and he was this. He came over to the United States, and he challenged Apollo Creed, and he killed the guy. Nick, that's one of Nick's favorite characters too. He killed Apollo Creed. So then they send him back, and Rocky, of course, he's a hero. He trains so hard that he's able to actually beat this guy. And by doing this, he ends the Cold War. I don't know if we've ever mentioned that in this show. But Ivan Drago literally killed one of the most famous, beloved American athletes and actors. It was basically a complete tragedy. But he did it, and he said if he dies, he dies. He didn't care. He just wanted to break people. Beat that, Nick.
Well, okay. You said Ivan Drago was like a piece of iron. The Terminator was a piece of iron. When you go to the original Terminator movie, this dude was a killing machine. It was on the poster. He went. One of the first things he did. Well, first thing he did was he killed a couple dudes because he was naked and he needed their clothes. Your clothes, give them to me.
It's a badass move.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
So happened that there was somebody on the street that fit Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What if he had a cyborg donk?
And he'd be throwing up in some cyborg ass.
I guess so.
So, okay, so you got the Terminator. Like, already now, he's already killed more people than Ivan Drago. At least that we know of. And then he goes to a phone book, rips out a page of all Sarah Connors, and then proceeds to go door to door and kill everybody named Sarah Connor in the phone book.
Okay.
And then he goes to a police station. Forgot about this. Goes to a police station, kills the whole precinct. And he just mowing motherfuckers down. And then one of the creepiest scenes in any movie up to that point was when dude goes back to his hotel room or his apartment, which I don't know when he rented an apartment. I mean, it just doesn't seem like he's the kind of guy to sign paperwork. But he
Do you
goes
think
back
he put a deposit down?
I don't know. You got to wonder. Like
First and last month type of thing?
That's one of the holes that they really should explain. They should go back and like do the whole thing about how he gets himself set up in that time. But he goes back to his apartment, after he feeds the cat and watches a little Murphy Brown. He goes and looks in the mirror and like his eye's all fucked up because he got shot. So he pulls out the tweezers and you see him just there and he rips the eyeball out. You see the blood drip down into the sink and he just flops the eyeball in. Then you just see the red eye just... This is some creepy ass shit, man. There was nothing like that up until that point.
Well, I would say this. as far as that goes. He's a robot, so he doesn't feel things. He doesn't feel emotion. He just does what the robot is commanded to do, basically.
What's the
From
difference between
Skynet.
that and the comrade?
Comrade, Ivan Drago. He's pumping himself up with steroids. He's like as bad as Canelo, just trying to get out there and kill somebody. He's all roided up. He's training hard. I mean, he's a killing machine.
Yeah.
I mean, he fought 2 fights, and he's killed 50% of the people he's fought in that movie.
Yeah,
That's pretty impressive.
He only won 50% of the fights. He got beat by a 5'2" wop.
Doesn't mean he wasn't a villain or a bad guy, though. He was, but so did a lot of guys, because Rocky was the champ. He's the greatest heavyweight of all time.
Look, the only reason why Rocky was still a champ at that point is because he had a sleazy manager that set him up with a bunch of paper contenders.
You're gonna call Mick sleazy manager? You son of a bitch! You. That's a completely different argument, I think. But yeah, I just think that Ivan, he represented just all of communism, and he represented just evil, and that's what Rocky overcame.
All right, here's a question for both of you. I'm going to give it to you first, Adam, and Nick, you second. This is going to be the deciding factor in my decision for this round. Which one, Adam, do you think it was, Ivan or the Terminator? Which one do you think got more pussy, and why?
Well, look, we know Ivan Drago got pussy because he had that blonde broad who ended up being like a complete nightmare on Flavor of Love like 30 years later. And he had her in the movie. That was his wife. He was slaying that. So
Bridget Nielsen, wasn't that who that is?
Yeah. I forget, what was her name in that movie? I can't remember.
I don't know. I think she was banging Flavor Flav for a while. She was on that show that Flavor Flav had, Flavor of Love.
Here's the thing about that. You saw what Bridget Nielsen turned into, and I'm not entirely sure she didn't have a dick.
She was pretty good looking back in Rocky IV days.
Back in Rocky IV,
she hit a wall like a truck, like a dump truck hitting a train. Like that's how hard she hit her wall. But back in the day, Rocky IV, she was hot, and Drago was slaying that. I mean, they talked about the whole time in the movie.
So just so we're all straight here, Adam, you want to bang Bridget Nielsen?
I'm not saying I would, but I'm saying that Drago did, and he was slaying it hard.
Yeah, but she's not good looking.
Well, she was good. I think she was good looking in Rocky IV. What do you think, Nick? Are you gonna argue that she wasn't good looking in Rocky IV?
No, she was good looking in Rocky IV, absolutely.
But she looks like shit now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just kidding around about modern day Bridget. Nick, how much pussy do you think the Terminator got?
Well, here's the thing. When it comes down to the Russian banging out his wife, if he got permission from the government, that dude he is a government product that is going out to win boxing matches for Mother Russia. He's not allowed to have sex while he's training. He's not allowed to have sex before fights because
I don't know who said that.
Well, it's going to make him weak in the knees, and they need him. They need him strong like ox to go in there and beat Apollo Creed and Rocky. They need him to be on his A game. He can't be drawn away by the wiles of a beautiful woman. Whereas, look, the Terminator had a list of every single Sarah Connor in Los Angeles. You're going to tell me he didn't just have his way with a few of them?
I think he just shot him immediately.
Maybe after. I don't know.
See, I think the Russians would have been breeding those two because they're both like giant people. They're like the ultimate genetic products for them.
Yes, of course, but you don't breed the racehorse while he's still racing. You put him out the stud after he's done racing.
Yeah, but the Terminator don't even have a dick. We're not even sure that he has a dick. For all we know, he just has like a port there where he gets himself plugged in. He might even have the opposite of a dick. No comeback there.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
You can have Ray
My,
Finkel.
my decision has been made. And I will say a few things. First off, Ivan Drago, you did a great job of arguing for the fact that him and Bridget Nielsen should have repopulated the entire continent.
Mhm.
And you might be onto something there. You could call yourself Adolf or whatever, maybe Adam, whatever you want to call yourself.
It's like the Fourth
Nick.
Reich.
Right, exactly. Nick, you did a great job of giving the details about how the Terminator went about being a very, very bad guy. Adam, my favorite part of this round argument for you was when you argued the fact that the Terminator may or may not even have a dick. You have a very, very good point there. A point I never thought about before, and I hope I don't think about again anytime in the near future. But the winner for this round is going to be Nick, and it goes to Nick because he argued a great amount of detail on the Terminator and how bad of a dude he was. He also argued against your character, Adam. So, Nick, you're the winner. How does it feel?
Feels good. Good to get back to 500. I think I'd like to thank the people involved, mainly Tommy from Goodfellas. Who else won? Daniel LaRusso. That's a bad guy there. And the Terminator.
He's one bad hombre, huh?
One bad hombre.
Who else did you have on your list, Nick?
I had Pat Garrett, which, I mean, he's
Young
a scumbag and a half. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Henry from Good Son, which was Macaulay Culkin's character.
Yeah, that was a bad kid.
I could have won arguing him because he was
evil.
Bad. Yeah, exactly. Now there was a lot on your list that I considered, but I didn't know if it fell into horror into genre, but like Patrick Bateman and Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, I thought about Hannibal Lecter. I think that's more like a I didn't really think of that as quite as much of a horror movie, but Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, that is kind of, but it's almost like a psychological thriller type of movie too. So I had Wild Bill Wharton. If you remember, he was the bad guy. He was the wild guy in the cell in Death Row who stomped on the mouse. And it turned out he was actually the one who killed the girls, who put the big hero guy in jail. I don't know if you remember the movie, The Green Mile much.
Once, but yeah.
He was like the most evil guy, like the things he did to the girls. Then I had Hannibal Lecter. He's a cannibal serial killer. I had T-1000. That would have been interesting to go T-1000 versus Terminator.
I thought you were going to go T1 with the last one.
I thought about it. I forgot that you had Terminator on your list, or I would have forced the issue. Because I think the T-1000 is even more evil. I mean, he's relentless.
I don't know, man. That first Terminator, he was brutal. He literally just went house to house and would just shoot people in the court.
That guy would just stick his like dildo hand right into people's heads, though.
Yeah, that's true. He did have the dildo hands.
Yeah. So, and then I had Murphy as my number 11. So from Young Guns, the same guy you went with to start. So that's very interesting.
And then Dirty Mike and the boys. I mean, they turned a respecting officer's Prius into a fuck shack.
Soup kitchen.
Yeah, the soup kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah, I also had John Doe from Seven. That was the serial killer who orchestrated all the murders and deaths in that movie. Right. So he chopped off Gwyneth Paltrow's head when she was pregnant. That's pretty bad.
That is. And he turned out to be a pedophile.
Yeah, I mean that's what my notes say. Serial killer played by pedophile Kevin Spacey. Yeah, that was it.
I'll tell you, there was a couple that I thought would make one of your lists, and they didn't. One of them was Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians.
Well,
I thought that would make somebody's list. And also then the robbers from Home Alone. I thought that would make a list for sure.
I considered them for sure. They were definitely on my they were on my short list.
They are villains.
Oh, and
They're-
I forgot because I didn't have Bryce actually written on my list because I turned in 9. Bryce was an on the fly pick.
Oh,
But yeah, he like raped every girl in California.
yeah, but he was a TV show. I didn't really think about TV shows much,
Right.
but yeah, he is a bad guy, complete pervert, smoking weed, raping girls.
Yeah.
just like you guys. That's a great note to end it on. Master Debate with Quade. Make sure you guys subscribe. All the places you can subscribe. You can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes. To recap the list for this week, here's our top 5 best bad guys from movies. Adam brought to the table Ray Finkel. Nick won with Danielson LaRusso. Nick also won with, I said Tony, but I think his name might be Tommy from Goodfellas.
Tommy.
Adam with Bodie from Point Break, which really pisses me off. And Nick with the Terminator. So I can tell you one thing. Next week, I'll be back.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you guys later.
Yeah, take it easy.
Shit, that